So he's talking about the spark dollars that came around after the COVID situation. And some of those dollars are being used to now have a school that is going to have a focus on providing telemedicine for the community. Now, his concern is, I want to see those dollars keep coming down to all of our communities. And the answer to that is absolutely. One of my biggest things with COVID is that I am extremely frustrated that right now the federal government is playing politics games. You have a president that is saying, I don't want to talk about this, and then you have the speaker talking about things that have nothing to do with the issues of COVID. We need to stop playing politics and start figuring out how it is that we're going to get dollars back into the communities directly. I am not a big believer of only sending dollars to the state. The state is great because we do need to have expanded unemployment benefits for our communities. My concern is what is happening with the mayors. Is the mayor that knows the small businesses? Is the mayor that understands the needs of the community? Is the mayor that understands what's happening at the micro level able to make decisions with regards to where those dollars are going? Because a lot of times we keep giving big government the expansion, the ability to, give us dollars, but if we don't need them or we have to jump through 1,000 hoops to get them, then it's no good. So my commitment will be to continue working with the mayors in all of our communities and our counties, because they are the ones, and I think that I'm very biased, by the way, because I'm a mayor, right? And as a mayor, I work directly, and you could talk about this as well, I work directly with the Chamber of Commerce, I work directly with the nonprofits in the community, and guess what? We are the ones that have the pulse of what is needed in a community. And to your point, making sure that that mayor and those community leaders have a way of spreading the word so that people are able to benefit from what's there for them to take benefit from. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. Who else, guys? Any question? Seriously. That is a very valid and true concern. It's no secret. It's been made very public. The president has talked repeatedly. And, even my opponent has said that he does not support the Affordable Care Act. My opponent did not help approve the Medicaid expansion either. So that was part of the challenges that we have, why we've had 4 hospitals close in this district alone. What I can tell you is, I don't want you to lose sleep over this, even though it is concerning. The fact that we already have the legislation of the Affordable Care Act, even if the Supreme Court were to rule it down, because we have the body of the legislation, we could just re-up it, okay? There is no other legislation that is protecting your pre-existing conditions. There is no other plan. There's nothing else. Nobody can look at you with a straight face and say, oh, I'm going to get rid of the Affordable Care Act, but I'm going to protect your pre-existing conditions. Do me a favor, the next time somebody says that to you, ask them how. Tell me how. Don't just tell me, show me how. Because there is no other protection. So Congress is able to immediately work with the Senate to start creating something else. It does concern me. I'm praying that it doesn't happen. And I'm hoping that we will be able to stop those lawsuits from being successful. So that you guys understand what's happening, the Affordable Care Act was written so that individuals that fall down the cracks, that don't qualify for Medicaid, and in Kansas at one point there was CanCare, remember? Okay, so if you don't qualify for that because your income is so low that you have to have super low income to qualify, then you end up having, like my sister, a $12 an hour job as a single mom, but it's still not enough. If you go to the exchange, you would have to pay $520. The Medicaid expansion dollars that were adopted with that pre-existing conditional coverage, what it does is that for somebody like her that doesn't have enough money and you could show financially that 520 is not sustainable, it reduces significantly that amount. Because we haven't had Medicaid expansion, we still have 150,000 Kansans that are either under or uninsured, especially right now in this pandemic, which is concerning. These are lives. These are not games or politic games. These are people. And I want to make sure that the dollars that are available for the states are still coming. And I also will defend the Affordable Care Act as well as negotiating prescription drugs. Because it's ridiculous that we could go to Canada or we could go to Mexico and get cheaper prescriptions. So those are 3 things that I will be advocating for. And there is no other legislation. There's just no other legislation to protect pre-existing conditions. And by the way, you want to know who started that legislation in the 90s? Bob Dole. Just so that you know. So you could tell your friends. Yes, sir.
Obviously, I'm on Medicare. I'm past 65. Well,
I couldn't tell. I thought you were in your 30s.
Well, you know now. Thank you. But anyway, it's nice talking to you. And I already voted for you, so.
Oh, thank you.
Day before yesterday. Anyway,
Thank you.
I got a little sick and couldn't get in the doctor. Tell her what takes a COVID test. Well, unbeknownst to me, you got to pay for it.
Yeah.
I was stupid. I didn't know this, which I didn't have to because I had insurance, Medicare. Well, I go over and take the test. It's $150. And I asked that woman, I said, do you give people that don't have any insurance or anything free test? Oh, no, sir, they got to pay for it. Well, here you go. What is the poor people going to do? They can't afford to take a test.
Wow. So here is what we're supposed to be doing in Shawnee County, where we've been able to work with the health department. Your health department should have access to some testing. The governor worked to expand the capacity of testing, and some of those tests should be coming to this county. Do you guys have a health department that you could go to? Okay, so I would, for somebody, if you went to a private clinic, you may have to pay, but my recommendation to you, without knowing what the situation is, please make sure that if you have somebody that does not have access to health care, to check with the local health department to see if they have access to some free testing.
Because a single mom, single dad, like
Yeah.
I was, you got to buy groceries. You're not going to be able to afford it. I think they sent some money in since I took mine. That's been a couple of months ago.
Okay, good.
But, and I read, I don't know, Elaine might know.
It's better. Yeah, it's better.
They did, didn't they?
You could go to the clinic and get your test.
Yeah, you couldn't when I took mine, anyway.
Thank you for sharing that.
You're welcome.
And it goes back to what you were saying, is how do we get out the information to the community so that they understand what's available to them?
Right.
What else, guys? Yes, so I'll share with you one of the most frustrating things in my life is that when I was homeless, I was doing $5,000 student loans to overcome homelessness. So like every year I would borrow $5,000 and then I would pay my rent so that at least I had a place to sleep with my kid. And my son has severe persistent mental illness. So we had several challenges with him. And I was constantly in and out of hospitals with him, trying to make sure that we were taking care of him. So eventually I defaulted on my student loans more than once. Because of that, I am still paying out of probably $25,000, I owe $30,000 still. And it shouldn't be the case that if you are an individual that is trying to better yourself and you're doing a student loan, I'm not saying don't pay it back. If we are making a loan, we should pay it back. But don't do predatory lending. And the federal government has resorted to some kind of predatory lending in the sense that, you know, students get into these student loans and it'll take them years to the point that they're not able to buy a house because they're dealing with these loans and the burden is so high. So one of the things that I want to advocate for is making sure that we restructure the way that those loans are paid back. Because if you paid that amount and of course paid some interest to it, by golly, let's figure out a way to make sure that you're able to just at least see some end to that, you know, and not have to pay 2 and 3 times the amount of the loan that you made. I mean, we criticize that. There's laws against predatory lenders. However, the federal government is able to get away with it. So that's a valid concern. We've learned that the internet issue is not just a rural issue. A lot of the kids in the inner city that the parents don't have the money to pay for it are having the same issues that our rural communities sometimes are having with access, which is interesting because now more than ever when you need it for the kids' education, it's an issue of equity, not just, you know, it's no longer a luxury. It used to be like the cell phones were a luxury. Now people don't even have house phones anymore. They mostly have a cell phone. So, you know what, guys, I think that the the beauty of the challenges that we've seen with the president is that I think that even though we're seeing a lot of negativity online and negativity in the media, it has shown us that we want something different. It has shown all of us that we don't like chaos. We are a peaceful people. We like order, and we expect more of our leaders. And even though it's a backhanded compliment, I think that what he has done with the negativity has been unify people in a way that, that I think that we're going to see something very different in this election. I think that we're going to see people having an expectation that their leaders are going to want to work together, that our leaders are to be kind with each other. And my real prayer is that as Kansans and Americans, we remember that the parties don't matter. You know what? I don't care if you're Republican, Independent, or Democrat. You're an American. And the job of a public servant is to serve, right? And my prayer is that what we end up electing is more people that are much more interested in serving you, whether it's knocking on a door, even if you're going to get that door slammed, but to show you the respect of saying, I'm here, than people that are going to be negative to each other, because you deserve better. We all do.
Where are you going next?
Parsons. Parsons.
They were here last night.
They do it? It's like, you guys are just a little proud of that one. So now I know what to say when I get to Parsons. It's like, hey guys, Cherokee County, Columbus says hi. They'll be like, arr. It's like Michelle de la Isla loses terribly in Parsons. Anything else you guys want to say? I mean, seriously, I know it was kind of interesting. I was interviewed by The Sun in Pittsburgh, and the lady asked, she said, why do you do this? She said, why do you stop and talk to people? Why do you? And I'm like, look, if I'm going to be, God willing, your representative, and I don't make time to sit down and talk with you, then what the heck am I doing? I don't want to be a megaphone. If I'm just here to tell you what I think that you should hear, then we're doing it wrong. And my prayer is that, hey, once I get to Congress, God willing, we are going to have mobile offices. So my desire is to start building these sorts of networks so that then by the time that I'm in Congress, God willing, we should be able to just say, hey, could you find me a place that I could have office? Because today I'm going to spend the day here. And we're going to do that across the district by regions. And that way you guys will get to see me more. So, because I think it's important, and hopefully, by then, if I do end up being your congresswoman, which I hope I will, what we'll do is we'll be able to have our Republican brothers and sisters join us for simple things like this. And, and being able to have, just meetings with the leaderships of the different counties so that we can continue having a conversation. Because at the end of the day, it's not my voice that you guys want in DC. You guys want to have your voices heard. And if I'm not here to listen to you guys, then I'm doing it wrong.
I have a question for you.
Yes, ma'am.
Seeing across the district with the PPP funding that came, are you seeing that being sufficient for the small
No.
businesses in the district? Okay.
No, and it's not that it's not being sufficient. It's that there's so many hoops for people to have to jump through. The first time that they did it, it was great because it had it was really easy to apply for. However, what ended up happening in the first round, because it was so easy to get, people ran to their bankers that had businesses that could self-sustain and took most of the money. Second round had a little bit more hoops to jump through. So even though the money was distributed, by and large, had the governor not come up with the PUA for sole proprietors, we really did not see a benefit for smaller businesses, which is why I have been advocating with the Conference of Mayors to the federal government to say, let's make sure that the next package, whatever it is, has money that goes directly to the local units of government because they're the ones that understand the small business owners. Banks right now are not giving loans to the small business owners because guess what? They don't live on a huge slush fund. They live day to day with the revenue that they're creating. So they don't have the capital or the collateral in many times in order for them to have an extra line for them to survive. 1/4 of the small businesses in our communities that closed because of COVID will not reopen. And I think that's a shame because our small businesses are the backbone of our economy. So the hope is that DC, even before I get to Congress, get off its back and produces something that directly benefits the local units of government so that the people that really need the money are able to get it. Because the PPP was not it. I was in a class, after I got elected mayor, I became part of not only the U.S. Conference of Mayors, but also a class with Harvard and Johns Hopkins. And the class was on Thursday, and they were saying that with all of the dollars that went out, what they learned is that they increased consumption 1.9% with the stimulus checks, and the PPP was so ineffective that in essence, each job that was saved cost $300,000. Yeah, it's crazy. The unemployment numbers keep going down, so it has to be different. The next package has to be more local government oriented so that we can support our small businesses. And then the other big thing that I believe is that if you have been displaced because of COVID and your income was not sufficient for you to live on, you know what? You were displaced, get unemployment, but let's train you. Let's train you for whatever jobs are in the region that are short so that when this pandemic is done, you're able to just walk right back into a better job. And we're not using those dollars to do this. So those are some of my crazy ideas for businesses and restarting our economy. Okay, well, thank you for being here with me today. Thank you so much for making time. God bless all of you. I do look forward to coming back and to just being able to serve you and just listen to your stories and carry them with me as I go to DC. So Nicole can tell you how to get a hold of me. And my email is easy. It's Michelle@Michelle4Kansas. Please go and vote. Encourage your Republican brothers and sisters to vote. Be kind to them. You know, we're all struggling and everybody's scared. There's so many different messages. But just remember that in the end, it doesn't matter. You're not a Republican or a Democrat. You're an American above all things. And you're a Kansan. So let's treat each other as such. Let's be kind to each other. And let's make history. Thank you.